are live. Welcome to Annie's Flock, or welcome back to Annie's Flock. This is our weekly live, Saturday weekly live. I tried to do it horizontal. For some reason, it won't let me. So maybe because I'm recording on my phone. Anyways, today's topic that has been chosen between YouTube and Instagram is birds and sunlight. So I thought that this would be a great idea to do this live outside. I don't have my bird. I never have my birds all together outside, but I usually have like one at a time. And I decided to not bring any birds outside with me because it's a little bit chilly this morning. And I'm in the process of having them being comfortable outside with me. And I'll get into a little bit more in depth in regards to this when we get into the topic. But yeah, that's the reason why I don't have any birds with me. But I decided to do this live outside, given that we're talking about sunlight today. And we don't really have, the sun isn't really out today actually here where I'm located. So yeah. So before we start into the subject, just a quick reminder that I go live every Saturday. Oh, the sun is coming out slowly. Okay. Yes, so every Saturday morning from 10 to 10:30 Pacific time, I go live on Annie's Flock, and talking about a different topic related to birds, parrots, pet birds, specifically parrot type. And then you get to pick the topic because I put a poll up on my YouTube channel under the post tab every week, usually Thursday, although this week I was a little bit late. I think I put it, did I put it? I know I did on Thursday. I can't remember. Anyways, this week was a little bit hectic for me. And then I do the same thing on my Annie's Flock Instagram story. I put the poll and you can go vote there. If you don't follow me on Instagram, look on the description box of this live and you'll find the link for Annie's Flock Instagram. All right, so let's go right into this week's topic, which is birds, parrots, more specifically, and sunlight. I have a few notes here so I stay on track. So why is sunlight so important for birds, pet birds? Basically because so your birds, your pet birds, let me see, I need my glasses. Yeah, so if you don't have a bird and you're not interested into parrots, you can just skip this live because you won't be interested in that at all. So why is it so important? Well, first off, they're outdoors. So I heard someone saying, like a parrot owner the other day, and I was like, this is it was really well said. So parrots are not domesticated animals. They are wild animals that are not yet domesticated like cats or dogs or anything like that. Yes, they are being breeded in captivity and we keep them in captivity, but they're not domesticated. You can tame them, yes, but they're not domesticated. So they do still need what they would get in nature in the wild. And we need, as parrot owners, to try to give them as much as possible, in my opinion anyways. And sunlight is one of them. They do live usually in tropical and really warm weather places. So they need that sunlight. They need it for their overall health. But sorry, I'm old. I need my glasses to see the comments. Hi, Katana. If you have questions about the topic, also don't hesitate to put that in the chat, and I'll take a look once in a while. So yeah, it's really important for their overall health, for their bones, their feathers. So they need just like us, actually, they do need the vitamin D from the sun to be able to get the proper calcium into their system. So I don't know if you know this, but it's the same thing for us. Vitamin D and calcium, they work hand in hand together. If you don't get the calcium, your body needs the calcium, but it needs the vitamin D to be able to get the calcium, if that makes sense. They go together. If you don't have enough vitamin D, you won't get the proper calcium that you need. Hope this makes sense. It's the same thing for birds. So if you don't provide enough vitamin D to your birds, they won't get the proper calcium that they need for their bones and their beak and all of that. So it can create issues, right? Just like us, if you don't have enough vitamin D, it can create issues. And then also it does affect the mood, I think. I find that when I get sunlight to my birds, they get really pumped up and excited and just very, very content afterwards. So this is why it's so important. Now, I know it's so difficult to get sunlight to your birds. And then there's also like kind of a myth out there that it is kind of a myth, because I think it comes from something that is true, but it went to a total extreme. I've heard so many times, yeah, you can't put your birds in the sun because they'll get too hot, which is not completely wrong, especially if you have smaller birds, like my budgies. I find that they can overheat faster, but you'll see sign. If you observe your bird, you'll see sign of overheating, and then you can adjust. But yes, that is true, but it's not necessarily connected to the sun, but more so to the heat, if that makes sense. So one of the things that people say, don't put the cage of your bird like in front of a window with the sun. First off, the window usually will cut the UV light kind of that they need to get the proper vitamin D. So it's actually not doing anything to them. And then yes, when you have a window in between, it creates, like how the effect that the sun get it, like your room, my gosh, I can't speak this morning. Your room will get warmer, right? So you have to be careful with this. But the problem is not related to the sun, it's related to the heat. So you have to be careful with the heat and the temperature. That's for sure. But definitely your parrots, they do need sun. So what can we do to make sure that they get sun as much as we can in a safely manner to make sure that it's safety for them, that it's safe? I really can't speak this morning. This is going to be an interesting live. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah. Well, it's Saturday morning. Maybe I should drink coffee instead of water. Maybe I could get my brain to work a little bit better. Okay. Bear with me here. I'll get my ideas out. So, how can we make this safe for our birds to get sunlight? There's different ways for sure. So you can bring them outside in a bird carrier, a backpack, a smaller cage that you can transport outside. So that way, because yeah, there's different dangers related to this, right? And one of them is that your bird is going to escape. So you clearly don't want to have this unless you're like free flight trained. Like, I mean, this is another thing, but usually you'd get like bigger parrots to do that, and it's a whole process. You just don't go with your bird and then, oh yeah, I'm gonna free fly my birds. That's not how it works, right? So yeah, so you wanted to keep it kind of contained so that it's safe, right? Other ways you can do this is to have a secure outdoor environment. So right now you can't really see it, I guess. So, but I'm outside right now, and I'm in a gazebo, and I have screened all over. It's open right now because I don't have my bird. Again, I said at the beginning, if you missed it, I don't have any birds with me because it's a little bit chilly this morning. So again, you have to be careful with the temperature. And it's not really sunny anyways, but if I bring my bird out, I'm gonna completely close my gazebo. It's all screened in. They can't get out. So I'm gonna bring my bird in their bird carrier, and then I'm gonna open the bird carrier here, and then they'll just be in the screened in gazebo, which they get some part shade, and then sometime like usually there's a part of the inside of the gazebo that is kind of sunny, so they get the sun there. Having said that, I will always be with them in here. I will never let them alone because although it's secure, I have neighbors and they have cats, and the screen goes all the way down, but a cat could potentially go from like inside from the bottom of the screened panel, right? So I will always stay in the gazebo with them. Always, always, always. The other thing is I have not found a way to get my budgies outside just yet, so I have other way. But this is one way that I do with my Indian ringneck and my conure, and it's been quite the process. I will talk about this later as well because there's challenges into bringing your birds outside for sure. You can have an aviary outside, and then bring your bird outside to enjoy the sun. You can have like an actual cage that you're just gonna leave outside or roll outside that you can have your birds out. Before having that gazebo, this is what I was doing is I would take all my cages are on wheels. So we would need to be two people to do that because I have like a little step here where where my patio door is. So I would need to like lift it. So, and my cages are pretty big. They're like flight cage, but they would go through like on an angle and I'd be able to bring them outside. So you can do that. There are also batting nets. So it's like a net that you can people are practicing baseball in it to hit balls, if you will. So they actually sell that. It's a thing. And then there's a lot of people in the birds community, especially when you have bigger birds, like I wouldn't say like medium birds from maybe like African gray to bigger birds, macaws, that they will use this to recall or flight train their birds, which is brilliant. And then while they do this, they get lots of sun, so that's awesome. You do need to have the space for this for sure. And then I wouldn't recommend it for smaller birds because usually the holes are like pretty big, so you don't want your bird to fly through this, but that works well. And never let your bird outside alone in these things. Same thing, it's a net, so there's possibility that an animal could get through. it's all about keeping your bird safe, really. That's what it is about. What else? What else do I have for notes here? The other thing is we don't always have a space outside, or sometimes it's sunny, but it's not, depending on where you live, right? I live in a place where winter is pretty cold and the fall is pretty cold. So, but sometimes when it's sunny, I can open my patio door and just leave the screen there. And then the ray of sunshine gets in, and it's not too cold. It's warm enough that I have a place then that I can move around, and I will either bring the place stand closer to the door so that they can get the sunshine, or I'm going to bring a cage closer to the door, but not outside, because outside it's a little bit too cold, but inside it's still fine. Like it's that barrier. So this is another thing you can do. And even if you don't have the space outside, or you're in a condo or something like that, and you're not able to bring your bird outside, then just open a window with the screen, right? Not fully open, or I mean, you could if they're in their cage, that's fine. And then you just bring the cage closer to the window so they get that sun. What's important though, that you need to open the window, because the rays through the window, like I said at the beginning, this is where it gets hot, too hot. The problem is not the sun, the problem is the heat. And they don't actually get what they need from the sun because it's being blocked by the window. Just going to take a little sip of water here. So I want to talk about also what, well, I did talk a little bit about it, but what are the things we need to look at to make sure that it's safe? Again, it's the heat. So depending on what type of parrots you have, you can go with different temperature. And if you observe your birds, you'll be able to see if they are too cold or too hot. Too cold, a bird that is too cold is going to be all fluffed up, and they're just going to stay in one spot and try to really like warm themselves. So you'll be able to see that. And then a bird that is too hot, there's different signs, but they will open their wings a little. So usually their feathers are going to be really flat on their body, and they're going to open their wings a little bit on the outside to let the air circulate. And sometimes they'll even open their mouth a little bit, and you'll see that the breathing is going to be a little bit different. They're trying to cool themselves off. When you see this, your bird is too hot. You need to cool, like make the temperature go lower. So just to give you an idea, I have smaller birds. So my flock is, if you don't know, if you never watch anything on my channel, I have 2 Budgies, 1 Indian ringneck, and 1 black-egg conure. So they are smaller birds. My Indian ringneck is maybe like the bigger of all the small birds, but I like to keep the temperature in the house anyways, always around 21 to 22. Sometimes it gets warmer, but I'm going to try to not have it past 26. I find especially my Budgies when it's past 26 degrees, and I'm talking about Celsius. So if you're in the States and you're using Fahrenheit, just Google it, because I don't know. I can do yeah, I don't know. So I usually see, especially my Budgies, when it's past 26 degrees Celsius, it gets too hot for them. I will see those signs, the wings out and everything. If the temperature goes below 18, especially again for my Budgies, I will see the signs that they're too cold. So they're fluffed up, and then they stay in one spot, and they're just trying to like warm themselves out. And then And then outside, it would be the same thing, right? This morning, it's about 15 or 16 degrees. There's no sun on top of that. So it's a little bit chilly. I could probably bring my Indian ringneck. She'd probably be fine, but uh, I'm gonna have enough time to talk about the process of bringing them outside because it's not that simple. And yeah, so but I could possibly bring my Indian ringneck outside and she'd be comfortable. Outside, definitely, especially if it's sunny, I will not bring them outside if it's over 25 degrees because this is where I'm going to see signs that they're too hot. So yeah, you need to be careful with that. Too cold or too hot. The other thing that you need to be careful of is having your birds that escape because it happens all the time. So this is the other thing you need to think about. Is it secure enough? Can my bird escape? Should I stay there because it's secure, but there could be a possibility of, let's say, the bird makes a hole in the screen, so like they could get through. Is there a cat that or an animal that could eventually get in? So if you have, let's say, an aviary outside, is it on the grass? Could an animal dig a hole underground and get into your aviary? Like all things like that, right? So you have to think about these things. And then, yeah, so can they escape, or is there another animal that could get in? Do you need to stay with them, or is it a place that it's safe enough that you can leave them there? So all kinds of things to think about. Now let's talk about the process a little bit. Anyone has a question about this? Or anyone has birds or interesting in having parrots or already had parrots, or I'm curious. Okay, I'll check later if anyone wants to share in the group chat. That'd be cool. So, okay, there's a process for this. So I can also talk maybe a little bit more about my experience with my own birds and where I am in the process of my favorite is to bring them outside. I think that's the best. They get the fresh air. Oh, the other thing I wanted to talk about like danger, and this something that a letter that I got from my landlord made me think about this is that let's say, so for example, next week they're gonna put like a product or something for weeds outside. So I'm not gonna bring my birds outside during that time. Absolutely not. And I'm gonna be really careful of if I'm even going to open windows, maybe just upstairs, not downstairs, just because I don't want to get that chemical in the air in the house. So because I don't know what they're using really, and this might be dangerous for my birds. So that's another thing you want to think about in the environment. Okay, so process. So let's talk about, let's say, my budgies, where I am in the process and what I do with my budgies. So I've been struggling to get my budgies out. First off, the gazebo, I don't trust the gazebo enough to have them loose out. And then the other thing is they're not trained to get in a bird carrier. I haven't found the actual bird carrier that would work for them. I have to buy a small cage maybe, and to train them to get in that sleeper cage or small cage to be able to bring them outside. The cage that they are in are really, really big. And since I put in the gazebo up, I'm not able to pull the cage outside because the gazebo blocks the way. It's too tall, it's too big. So I cannot bring the birds outside at this point in time. My goal is to get a cage that I like, smaller cage that I can easily bring outside, and then I can train my budgies to go in, bring them outside, enjoy the sunshine, and go back in. I'm not there yet, but that's my goal. So for now, what I do is, so right now it's not sunny, so you can't see it. But when it's sunny, even if there's a gazebo here, the sun will still get through here, the door. So what I would do, I would open here, the patio door completely, and then I can, you see you see actually one of the cage there. I can just bring the cage completely here, and if it's sunny, they will actually get sun from outside. So it's almost like they are outside, but not quite. They're still inside, right? And they're in their cage, so they're safe, but they still get that sun. So this is how, I'm just gonna close this because it's a little bit cold. So this is how I do it right now with my budgies. Is it ideal? I don't know. Like I would love them to have more sunlight than that. I think it's not enough, but right, it's a little bit is more than nothing, right? So this is what I do with my budgies right now. With Olive, my Black Cape Conure, she's trying to go in her backpack, and I can let her into the gazebo. So backpack, super easy. I go on hikes with her. I take walks with her. I can bring her garden. I can water my plants, and she's in her backpack, and it's like a bird backpack. It's meant for this, so the sun can get through. The only thing I don't like about her backpack, and I would like to find one that is a little bit better, is because there is in the front like a clear plastic area, and I find when the sun hits directly into the plastic, and it's quite of a hot day, like 23, 24 degrees, it gets too warm in there because of that plastic. So I would like to have something that has no plastics. It's only fabric and screen, so that she doesn't get that. It's like a, you know what I mean? Like it makes like a, how do you call this? Greenhouse effect, right? So I would like to have something that doesn't get that effect, so that it doesn't get that warm inside. Eventually I'll find a backpack that I like. But for now it works. And then I trained her to go into the screened in gazebo. The reason why I don't have her in with me and I didn't like close the whole area, again, like I said, it's a little bit chilly this morning. Like I have to put like a little cardigan on because it's a little bit chilly, and the sun isn't really out anyway, so it's not like she's going to enjoy the sun. But I would bring her, I would close all of this, I would bring her in her backpack and then get her out of the backpack. Now, I highly recommend before doing this is to have your birds out in a cage or in a backpack a few times before. Let me see, I have some comments here. Hi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this Ogoose. Yes, so I would highly recommend to bring your bird outside in a cage, in a bird carrier, in a backpack first a few times, because the noise level outside is very different from inside, and that they get spooked really easily. So if you don't want your bird to panic, you need to desensitize them to the outdoor noise. The other thing is, of all my birds, the only one that is actually scared of the sun is Olive, my Black Cape Conure, which is really interesting. So I have to desensitize her to the sunlight, because where I live in the winter, we don't get a lot of sun. And what I mean by don't get a lot of sun, we can go weeks without seeing the sun in the winter. So when the spring comes around and we start seeing the sun again and it gets warmer, she gets scared of it because she hasn't seen it. So as soon as I go into the sun, even if she's on me on my shoulder and she gets into the sunlight, she's gonna fly away. So I actually have to desensitize her to this, and then I have to desensitize her to the outdoor noise. And then once this is done, I can have her in the gazebo without her freaking out. So there are steps that you have to take to be able. Rarely I have seen people being able to just bring their birds outside the first time, no issue, no problem, no freaking out, no nothing. Usually they have to go step by step and sensitize them. Let's see how. Oh, we're already at the 30-minute mark. So before I go, I just want to quickly touch base on my Indian ringneck. My Indian ringneck, Lucy, where we are at in the process is I am in the desensitizing phase of the outdoor noise. She gets spooked a lot. If you have an Indian ringneck, you know that they're skittish bird usually, not always, but usually. And if you don't know the story of Lucy, I mean, you can totally look on the page, but she was pretty traumatized when I got her a year and a half ago. She was untamed, not to be handled. It was crazy. And we came a long way, but she's trained to go into the she's trained to go into the bird carrier, but we're not quite ready to let her out into the gazebo just yet. So this is where I am in the process with Lucy. So before I leave, because I tried to keep it a 30-minute mark, I'm just going to take a look. Where are you from? I live in Canada. I'm in British Columbia, Canada, but I'm originally from Quebec, Canada. So if you hear that accent when I speak English, it's because English is my second language. Being from Quebec, my first language was French. Just going to see... and I am doing well. There was no question regarding birds. All right, well, this live is going to be up again. Oh, hi. Okay, Texas, nice. So I will let you go. I tried to keep it around 30 minutes, my live. But I will be live again next Saturday from 10 to 10:30 Pacific time with a different topic. So look up the YouTube channel under the post tab for the poll that you can vote for your topic for the weekly live, and Instagram as well. Oh yes, I do have Instagram. So if you go in my description, in the description box of the live, you'll see the Instagram link, and I put the poll up there also every week for the topic that you can choose from. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this. This live is going to be up for replay as tomorrow if you want to look at what you missed, and I'll see you next week. Okay, bye guys.